In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Daria Kępa-Green, and she's sailing over from the folks over at Cytora, and they basically help to drive premium growth from their risky ones. So basically, we're looking at underwriters, right? We're looking at the underwriter industry. So we want to figure out what Cytora is all about and how Daria is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me.
Very good. So maybe let people know sort of in a high level overview, what is Cytora all about in your own words?
Yeah, we're a digital risk processing platform for commercial insurers, as you said. And what insurers are using Cytora for is to improve their risk selection, optimize their portfolio, and deliver market-leading service for their brokers and customers.
Gotcha. Now, tell us a little bit more about the organizations you work with. Who would be sort of a sweet spot client for Cytora?
Yeah, we actually have quite a narrow target market, which is really good for us. And we're targeting large commercial insurers. So the likes of Allianz or Beazley or Markel in the UK. So any commercial insurers is our sweet spot.
Now, how do these guys learn about you guys? What's the channels or the journey that they go through in order to get started?
The most successful channel for us has been word of mouth. We have been building our presence over the last year or so with our own podcast, which is called Making Risk Flow, but also between our customers, the word is being shared that we're doing great work for them. So we're getting inquiries that way as well.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Now, how do you think then sort of about the digital channels, like, the website, search and the likes? How do you see that? Does that play a role in an industry like yours, or is it very much relationship based so that it plays a minor role down the line? How do you think about that?
Insurance is a very relationship based industry. But I do believe that there is more and more opportunity for all of us in insurance to play more of a digital role, and I can definitely see that changing. So when we started our podcast a year ago, it was quite a fresh idea, and as we have been developing the podcast, we are now putting more and more effort into the distribution arm, because we can create a great content, but if no one gets to listen to it or read it, then who is it for, really? So we're definitely increasing our attention to digital channels.
Very cool. Now, what role do you attribute to the website, and how do you see that changing down the line?
Yeah, I think the more we are focusing on our digital channels, the more I'm expecting the website to play a bigger part. That's also one of the reasons why we are actually redesigning and redoing our website right now, because we want to better communicate the value that we are bringing to our customers. So as we're increasing our effort and spend on digital channels, I'm also expecting different traffic and different level of inbounds coming in the next year or two.
Gotcha. Very cool. Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit your journey as a marketer, right? So, if we're talking about sort of the channels that you're working with, like if we're talking about your industry, what is the channels that a marketer in your industry would, be most in touch with? Like, what's the type of things marketers would do? Somebody going into the underwriter industry, what should they expect in terms of channels to be in touch with?
I think it's a very interesting question, because it's quite unusual, I would say, in the insurance industry. A lot of people are still very into traditional media, so newspapers, online publishing, magazines. Those are the areas, the places where people in the insurance go to get their news. But increasingly, LinkedIn has been. We've seen a lot of traffic being picked up in LinkedIn, and people are sharing more through that channel as well. So I would, in my view, those are the most typical sources of information for the industry.
Gotcha. Very cool. Now, I would love to learn a lot about your journey as a marketer, given the fact that there is so much content out there for marketers, right? Like you mentioned LinkedIn, blogs, posts, books, Like, where do you personally get high quality information, with all the noise out there?
Me as a marketer. Yeah, I think it's something that I struggled quite a lot with because I think and we are guilty of that ourselves a little bit as marketers. We've put so much content out there, not necessarily good quality content. So a lot of articles would be very short and maybe not that insightful. So for a while, I just stopped reading most of the things, and I was just getting information from like LinkedIn and maybe some networks. But I've been listening to a podcast that used to be called State of Demand Gen. Really, really great podcast. I think they're called now Revenue Vitals. Yes, that's the one. So that to me has been amazing source of information, and I'm also part of a community group of marketers, and people share a lot of their experiences and thoughts, and I learn a lot from others people's experiences.
Very cool. Now, I would love to switch gears a little bit and jump into some rapid fire questions as we slowly but surely approaching the end of the podcast. Are you ready for those?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is the last book that you read?
It was June. Actually, I watched a movie a couple of years ago, and my husband bought a book, so I read it after him. It was great. Highly recommend it.
Okay. Then what for the next question? What's the one single thing that you guys are focused on the most at the moment?
At Cytora.
If you would have a magic wand, right, and you could change one thing for your role as a marketer, what would be the one advice or the one thing rather that you would change yourself for a marketer? Get a magic wand, one thing that you could change. What would it be?
More hours in a day.
Okay, very good. What's the last thing that kept you awake at night about the business?
What was the last thing that... Oh, that's surprisingly difficult one.
You sleep really well. There's no issue.
I did sleep. I am sleeping quite well. I'm trying to think, but there wasn't.
No worries.
There wasn't.
No worries. Move to the next question. If today would be your very first day joining Cytora, what's the one single thing that you would give yourself as an advice?
I think I would tell myself not to rush into things and give myself and everyone else time to explore. So we actually did what I'm suggesting myself that I do, if that makes sense. So we actually did take time. We were not rushing into changing our value proposition. We were not changing the websites too early. Now we are ready to do that. But if we were to do that 6 months ago, we wouldn't have been ready. So sometimes it's good to take time and have a proper think before doing.
Very good. I really appreciate you gave us an insight about Cytora today, what you guys are doing, who you're serving, the types of customers you're working with, and your perspective on marketing as well. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Cytora, what's the one thing that people should remember?
Yeah, so we're a company that is behind the concept of making risk flow. So if you, for any chance, if you're part of the insurance industry and you're looking for someone to help you with that, we are your guys.
Very good. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.